Namaste, namaste, and welcome to this short video practice. Today I'm recording this for a special one-to-one student as a daily follow-along practice. So follow along if you'd like to. You know if it's aimed at you. But it'd be useful for anyone who's struggling to find a little bit of relief in the back of their body and also relieving tight hip flexors. I'm going to use a block for this practice, but I've also got a bolster to hand. So if you would find it useful to use a bolster instead, I'll show you when. So we're going to begin just with lying down on the back. So coming into this position of constructive rest, feet on the floor and arms down by the sides of the body, knees bent, so the back of the body can find some release here against the mat. And we're going to begin just with a few moments to center here and feel a sense of letting go of some of the effort in the back of the body. Taking a few deeper breaths, maybe even sighing out through your mouth, softening your face, your chest, shoulders. When you feel ready, you can gently roll the head from one side to the other. We're going to begin with these movements of the neck. So focusing at the top of the spine. And we're going to start with quite gross movements, meaning large-ish movements, rolling from one side to the other. And then we're going to begin to bring these movements back towards center. So making the turn from side to side much smaller, and it might become more rapid as a result of being smaller until it's barely perceptible. A little wave of the nose from side to side, a rock of the head from side to side on the back of the skull. Really, really, really small. And then bringing the head to stillness. I'm going to do the same thing by lifting the chin up and lowering the chin down. So we're still pivoting on that same part of the head that's on the floor, but we're opening the throat and then drawing the chin down to close that area a little. And we're just going from one end of the movement to the other without force or strain, but quite large movements. The head is heavy against the floor, and we're going to begin to make those movements smaller and smaller, and perhaps more rapid, smaller still, until that barely perceptible, tiny, tiny nod of the head. Very good. And then allowing your head to come to stillness, imagine your nose is like a pencil that you're drawing a circle on the ceiling with. We're going to start by rolling the head to draw that circle with the nose above you. And again, starting big, just going in one direction, and then making that circle smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's really tiny. And then we're gently going to pause and go in the opposite direction, starting small. And then getting bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger still, until you're making some quite big circling motions as if you were drawing on the ceiling with your nose. And when you're ready, coming to stillness. And our final practice is to make figure of eights with the nose. And again, we're starting with quite largish movements, quite expressive. And then we can become smaller and and smaller until we get a really tiny amount of movement that just feels really good in the back of the neck. When you're ready, you can pause briefly and reverse the motion to make figure of eights going in the opposite direction, starting small. You know the score by now. And then when you're ready, becoming a little bit more expressive, slightly bigger movements, a little bit more expressive still, until you have got some largish movements. And then here we're also going to go back to doing small movements. So when you bring your figure of eights back to small, tiny, tiny movements again, and then pausing, allowing the head to find some stillness, and just noticing if there's any tension in the shoulders, maybe releasing the shoulders back into the mat, giving yourself a soft smile. And then from here, we're going to stretch the legs out, and we're going to do some gentle stretches. So through the body. So we're lengthening the legs. We're going to leave the feet nice and wide apart, a little soft in the knees, and just making some ankle circles here. Now you don't have to pivot on the heels. You can just wave the feet from side to side if that feels more comfortable. But if you can circle the ankles here, then that's great, leaving the knees nice and soft, going the opposite way as well. Very nice. And then from here, we're going to bring the legs back towards each other. Breathe in to take the arms up over the body, pressing the back of the head down, the back, low back and the heels to the floor. Breathing out, arms down by the side. See if you can keep the low back pressed towards the mat. Breathing in, lengthen the heels away from you. Lengthen the whole of the back of the body. Maybe chin comes towards the chest ever so slightly. Breathing out, arms down to the side. One more time, breathing in, opening the front of the body. Breathing out, arms down by the side, relaxing the legs, maybe giving yourself a little shift from side to side as well. You're going to bend the knees in to place the feet on the floor. And here we're doing a little shift. So we're tilting the pelvis in different directions. We're going to imagine there's a bowl of water here at the bottom of the abdomen, and then tilt the bowl to pour water towards your chin. We'll call that 12. And tilt to pour water towards the toes. We'll call that 6. So tilting from chin to toes, 6 to 12. Back and forwards. Just keep breathing naturally and moving the body. You know, if you can, we're trying to make it rhythmic and smooth, so it doesn't feel like you're jolting. Nothing feels sticky or sticky or stuck. Excuse that spoonerism. Very good. And then again, we're going to make those movements much smaller, much smaller, much smaller, until you're doing very tiny, tiny movements, maybe hardly perceptible to anybody watching from the outside. A little backwards and forwards, much more like a rocking, so a more rapid movement than our first initial movements, all coordinated with our core strength here. And then resting in stillness. And now we're going to imagine that we're pivoting through something that, so we're secured to the ground at that space just behind the navel and the sacrum. And we keep that space on the ground, but we're lengthening the right hip towards the right heel, and then the left hip towards the left heel. Right hip to right heel, left hip towards the shoulder, left shoulder. Left hip to left heel, right hip towards right shoulder. So from above, it would look like you were tilting your pelvis from side to side. But here on the floor, we're pivoting from that point that is on the floor, just doing a lengthen one side and then the other. Not really pressing into the feet, but if you wish to, if you need to, help to make that movement by using the feet, then you can. And of course, we're starting here with quite big movements, but we're going to work to being much smaller, just a little rocking up and down, side to side. Lovely job. And then coming to stillness. And then we're going to press into the feet to lift the hips just a little off the mat, and then lift the right hip up towards the ceiling and the left hip tilts down the way, and then turn to the opposite side, lifting the left hip up and tilting the right hip down. So this is like a twist through the bottom of the body. We're just slightly lifted away from the floor. You can press your elbows down into the floor and the backs of the shoulders, the back of the head, if it's helpful to feel that sense of support to be able to make the movements. And once we've done some of these larger movements, we're going to make it much more rapid, and it's more like shaking your tail. So if you want to shake your tail, you can. It doesn't matter how jiggly and wobbly all of your bits and pieces are. And then releasing down into the mat, and we're going to straighten the legs out along the floor. Just make any movements that feel good, maybe waving the feet from side to side or circling at the ankles. And then we're going to bring the thighs back to center, point the toes away from you as you breathe in and reach the arms over the head. This time the low back coming away from the floor. Breathing out, arms down by the side, relaxing the feet, and we'll do 2 more of those. Breathing in to stretch through the front of the body, opening that space across the abdomen. Breathing out, arms down by the side. Breathing in to stretch the toes, tips away from the fingertips. Breathing out, arms down by the side. We can just conclude that part of the practice by drawing the knees into the chest and making any movements that feel good. So it might feel good to make some quite large circular movements. Excuse me. Sort of massaging the back of the body against the floor. And of course, because we are doing that throughout this practice, we're going to make these movements much smaller, a much smaller wriggle and schwiggle in both directions. And then taking the feet down one at a time once more. So now it is time to get our blocks, and we're going to place the block just on its lowest setting underneath the back of the pelvis. So we want that part of the back of the pelvis where the sacrum joins into the spine to be supported, not necessarily into the low back or into the buttocks, but that hard, firm part of the back of the pelvis on the block. And this might feel enough on some days. To be here, you can reach your arms wide or even reach the arms over the head. There's a little bit more open across the front of the pelvis than our normal resting pose on the floor. And it opens up the bottom of the abdomen nicely. And it's quite a nice resting pose. You can release your feet slightly further away from your buttocks if you like, as long as it feels nice and stable and steady. Take a few breaths here. Soften the features of your face. Feel your chest and shoulders softening as well. Then when you're ready, you can bring your arms back down to your side, Slide your left heel up towards your buttocks and extend your right leg away. And here we're just looking to feel a sense of open across the front of that right side of the pelvis. Excuse me, coming down with a cold, I'm afraid. So you might feel that this is enough. But if you'd like to do more, you can draw your left knee in towards your chest and just gently hug it as much as you need to feel that sense of openness across the right side of the pelvis. And if you need to do more, you might gently firm your position and then ease the knee in and out so you lightly tap your right heel on the floor. The tapping is completely optional. If you enjoy the tapping, you might tap out to the right side and then back across the body and tap your heel a little bit to the left as well. And that can really help to ease things across the sacroiliac joint if that bothers you. If it doesn't bother you, you don't need to do it. It's all good. When you're ready, resting in the center, letting the right leg be heavy into the floor, left knee drawn into the chest if that's your position. For one more deep breath in and out. Remember, you can hold for longer if you need to. We're going to bend the right knee in to place the foot on the floor and then let go of the left leg to bring the left foot down. So same thing on the other side. Spend a moment in the center just softening and then extend the left leg away from you. Heel stays on the floor. We're experiencing that sensation of open down the left side of the front of the body, particularly across the pelvis. It might be different on this side, so you might not need to do everything that you did on the other side. But if you'd like a bit more, you can draw your right knee into your chest, hug it towards you as much as you need to feel that sense of open down the left side of the body. Spend a moment here first, checking that you're not creating tension in any other part of the body, because sometimes we're not aware of discomfort, but we are aware of creating tension in other places. If you feel like it would be useful, you can firm your shape and gently tap your left heel to the floor by drawing the right knee in and out, just a little, just enough to lightly tap. If the lightly tapping is working and it feels good, you can tap your left heel out towards the left a little. It's really a small amount, and then over to the right a little as well. You might prefer just to keep steadiness in the center. I have to say I prefer that on this side. Whenever you're ready, you can allow the left leg to rest to the floor, the weight of the leg to be taken by the floor. Just taking another deep breath in and out. And then sliding the left foot in to place the foot on the floor, letting the right foot come down to the floor as well. Take a moment in the center to feel the difference. Hopefully there is some difference. And then if you wish to, completely optional add-on, you can slide both legs along the mat with your hips lifted on the block. And how high you have the block is really dependent on how this feels to you. So you could do the previous practice with one leg in, one knee bent, one leg out, on the block on its medium or even high setting if your back is keen for that kind of position. But most people I see are more comfortable here on the medium setting. And when you come to extend both legs away, if you're choosing to do that, I would always opt to do it lower rather than higher, because it's actually quite a big position for the body to be in. So we are slightly away from center, but because the body is heavy, it's passive, we're opening this front of the body in a passive way. You can even encourage a little bit more open by reaching the arms out or up over the head. Wherever the arms go to, make sure your elbows and wrists are on the floor. The shoulders feel nice and comfortable against the floor as well. And you're just exploring here. So I find that as I rest here for a little while, my body settles and I need to just micro adjust where it is and how far apart the legs are, that sort of thing, to allow it to continue to feel comfortable, to continue to soften and open. And you can hold any of these passive stretches for as long as feels comfortable to you. So perhaps you could even do 3 or 5 minutes here. Longer if you needed to, or if you're doing it for a therapeutic reason and it remains comfortable, you can do it for longer. When you're ready, you can bring the arms back down to the side. Gently firm the belly muscles a little before sliding your feet in one at a time. And in the center, just resting for a moment on the block, letting everything settle, any tension that might have crept into the body to ease. And then when you're ready, really subtly lifting your hips only enough to slide the block out from underneath and release the back of the pelvis to the floor and spend a moment just enjoying that sense of coming back towards neutral, the effect of your practice. If you wish to, gliding the feet and legs long along the mat and taking a brief moment in relaxation pose. You might prefer to bend the knees into the chest and hug them towards you instead. Wherever you're spending your release, just take a couple of deeper breaths. We're going to join each other again with the feet on the floor, the knees bent, but the feet nice and wide, arms relaxed away from the body, and just swaying the knees from one side to the other. It doesn't need to be a big movement here. We're not actually really looking for a massive twist. We're just looking for a little bit of counter pose, releasing an opportunity for moving. You might feel that your body's developing a little bit of space with this movement, and if you'd like to, you can allow your knees to rest all the way down to one side, briefly, firm through the belly to move back to center, and rest all the way to the opposite side, briefly. And just moving in that way, so firm through the belly to bring the knees back to center, and releasing over to the opposite side. Keeping that little lift through the belly throughout, and then moving in the opposite direction. If at any stage you feel like holding this pose, if there's no tension in the body, no twist across the knee, you might hold this twist. If your knees don't get to the floor, so if your knees are going to the left and the left leg doesn't reach the floor, just place a block or a bolster underneath it. And you can enhance this sense of open across the pelvis by reaching the right arm away from the knees, which are to the left, either out to the side or over the head, softening here. So when we're doing this in a passive way, we don't really want to force the body into any shape. So we're allowing the body to get there on its own. If you wish to encourage, you can encourage the inner right knee and foot towards the floor, just a little. I find that's a bit more comfortable for my body than being completely passive and just letting my right leg hang in space. A deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then releasing the right arm down to the side, firming the belly to bring the knees back through center. And we're going to just gently sway a little side to side to realign in the center before allowing the knees to go all the way to the right. Again, if your right thigh or knee is significantly away from the floor, place your block underneath them, underneath it, or a cushion or a pillow would be just as good. Once the knees have gotten where they want to go, explore if it would feel good to reach the left arm away from the knees out to the side or up over the head, making sure that wrist and elbow and shoulder all feel supported by the floor as well. On this side, I don't like any extra help, but if you do, encouraging the inner left foot and knee towards the floor. But be comfortable wherever you are. Just taking a few deeper breaths, feeling that gentle sense of open. Whenever you're ready, you can release the left hand back down to the left side, firm the belly to bring the knees back through center. And then here a little sway from side to side, more like a wobble on the back of the pelvis. And then in your own time, drawing the knees into the chest, hugging them towards you, and making any movements that feel good. Perhaps it's stretching out that feels better to you. I must admit, I always like to lengthen the back of my knees along the floor as well. In your own time, just finding your way onto the side of the body and coming up into sitting. I'm only coming up into sitting so that I can show you this next thing, but we're actually rolling all the way onto our tummies. So if you prefer a cushion or a pillow under the pelvis for tummy lying, you can grab that now. We're coming to move onto your tummy to rest your forehead on the back of your hands. Just taking a moment here to wiggle the hips from side to side. Perhaps just to take a few breaths to arrive in this different position. So we've worked on opening the front of the pelvis, but now we are drawing the front of the pelvis towards the floor. And that contact allows the pelvis to feel supported, it allows the structures at the front of the body to soften so that they can find a little bit of release and relief. You can rest in this position whenever your low back grumbles or feels tired, as long as it feels better to lie in this position. I really love it, especially with a little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Feels like it softens out all of the effort in the low back for me, particularly if I've been standing a lot or if you've been making lots of effort with the back of the body. So hold this position for as long as feels comfortable. But if you would like to work a little bit to release the front of the thighs, you can bend the knees so that the feet are resting above the knees, there or thereabouts. And then here, this might be enough just to do some big, deep breathing here. Feeling that the expansion of the belly into the floor opens the low back. And the exhale part of the breath can just soften the body towards the floor. Or you might like a little sway of the feet from side to side. And as we sway from side to side, we get that contact between the front of the thighs, the front of the pelvis, the low abdomen, and the floor in a way that we often massage the back of the body against the floor. So it's just a sense of letting go, a sense of release across those muscles. And they've been working hard. So, well, they've been working hard in most people's days. So when you're ready, you could try a little circling of the feet at the ankles. And the feet can both go in the same, not the feet at the ankles, circling of the low leg at the knee. That's what I mean. So stirring, so the foot and the whole of the low leg is making a circle around the knee. And it might be that your feet go in the same direction. At the same time, we're going to reverse direction if that's the case. And again, just trying to make the movement nice and smooth. Try to eliminate the jolts so you've got enough muscular control to make the movement smooth, which is a lovely way to iron out some kinks. Or you might bring your feet to center and then move the feet and the legs in circles going in opposite directions. So where you're circling one and then the other, just to coordinate so you don't kick your ankles together in the center. And again, going in the opposite direction when you're ready, and just noticing which of those is more useful, or if, like me, you enjoy doing both for different reasons. Very good. When you're ready, coming back to stillness, we're going to let the feet find the floor, toes turn slightly in, something underneath the ankles here if it's useful. You could put your bolster there if you like. And heels turned out. If you are comfortable, forehead straight down so the whole spine is in alignment in the center. And then taking maybe 5 or 10 long, slow breaths here. Make sure you're warm enough. If you wish to remain resting here, you absolutely can for as long as feels comfy, particularly if you've got some cozy clothes on and a blanket. If you're ready to conclude your practice and move on with your day, hands underneath the shoulders, pressing back through hands and knees, maybe taking a little sassy cat-cow or a little extended child's pose as you choose. However you wish to release is fine. And then whenever you're ready, coming back into an upright position. I hope you've enjoyed this practice and found it useful. I hope you find release across the low back, the pelvis, the hip flexors, and all of those good structures. And I look forward to seeing you for another practice again soon. Namaste.